Today, we review a TV show. More specifically, the final 2 episodes of the short-lived sci-fi series, Space Rangers. Emmy-nominated Space Rangers at that. It was nominated for makeup. Marvin Westmore and Ed French lost to Marvin's brother Michael for Deep Space Nine.
Please.
These are personal gifts meant for Prince Godin.
And how do I know they don't contain death?
You have my word.
Episode 5 begins with an old-timey comedian, played by Buddy Hackett, arguing with his agent about the lack of recent gigs, when tragedy strikes and the ship he's on begins to crash.
Here, I slayed every one of the great palaces in the whole galaxy! PQ-80! PQ-80, how do you get the PQ-80? Huh? I'll go to PQ-79, ask for directions!
The ship didn't crash on just any planet, though. It crashed on an abandoned prison planet that has the galaxy's worst prisoners. The only visitors are supply ships that give them just enough food so that they die of old age and not starvation. Our heroes arrive and tell us that Buddy Hackett is basically Space Bob Hope, and during the last war was always willing to go behind enemy lines to entertain the troops. Ray from 5 Minutes in the Future here. I obviously mean front lines, not behind enemy lines. On with the review. So now the troops are going to save him, led by Captain Doc, who has one robot hand, and a ship piloted by Marjorie Monaghan, JoJo, in a cool ship that she leans forward in order to pilot.
It's all yours, JoJo.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
You just smooth it out, JoJo.
I like it that way, Doc.
And they better hurry up because a crash has been spotted by an evil gang led by the terrific Sec Varel.
You want to combine supplies? Join up with me and Nyack.
I'm not taking no orders from no...
For the rest of the episode, we do get a little bit of comedy and hacky jokes from Buddy Hackett, but mostly it's a lot of action.
You must be the comic everyone thinks is dead.
I'm Lenny Hacker.
Xylan, I'm a ranger.
Hi, Ranger. You're a long way from Texas, partner.
I don't understand.
Neither do any of my other fans. It's okay.
You found him!
Yes, I did. And you can have him back. Is there a reward?
Is that funny?
Yeah. Sort of.
Hurry up and get inside! You're hurt! Hey, Z-Man, they're right behind us! Cover us! What happened? Hans jumped us behind the rock! Yeah, you're hit! Honey, let me take a look at that arm.
Close the door!
Also in this episode, we learn that the youngest member of the Space Rangers is the son of the most powerful general in the sector. The general spends most of the episode arguing with Linda Hunt about whether Camp Hope is going to get shut down or not. Also, we learn that Xylan, the only alien-looking dude we've seen so far, is a telepath. Episode 6 is the courtroom episode that all these sci-fi shows seem to need to have. In episode 5, we see the young guy hit on Marjorie Monaghan. Yes, that's how you say her name, not Moynihan like I said earlier. I apologize. And he kind of gets brushed off. But now in episode 6, it begins with them making out. So I was kind of confused for a second until it turns out that they were undercover to catch a criminal.
Okay, Doc, he's all yours, Doc. He's headed for Geno's.
The criminal they caught is from a race called the Graka. And we find out that Xylan, the telepath I told you about earlier, is also a Graka, and he's the only Graka allowed to be a member of the Space Rangers. So it's kind of like a alienation thing going on, where the one dude was the only person in the police force. Well, they're also telepaths, like the Beta Zeds, and a warlike species that everybody else hates, like the Cardassians. So it's very confusing, but yeah, they also wear necklaces that keep their emotions in control because they're such a warlike species. I hope you got all that. If you didn't, just go back 42 seconds because that's how long that explanation was. That's why you look at the little timer on the bottom. So this new Graka argues with Xylan about which one's a traitor to their species and why he killed a witness that was trying to testify against criminals when the criminal himself shows up and bails the Graka out of prison.
Nature, like love the light and still embrace the dark.
You tell yourself children's lies, Graka. Violence is the milk in our veins. We are warriors.
No! You're more than that.
Are we? But Colonel, why didn't you ever tell me? You know how I enjoy this sort of drama. You see, Mr. Murdoch, there is a certain deliciousness in being suspected of so much evil.
Turns out, being an assassin for a warlord isn't exactly a great job to have, as he is immediately murdered, and Xylan is set up for the murder.
You will remember nothing, Graka. You will know only the shame of the damned. You are mine, Xylan.
Lots of fun acting in this episode, including a scene where our Space Rangers all pull together their money to afford a lawyer for Xylan.
I got $5,000 in my pension and about 600 in credits.
5,600, huh, Jojo? If I knew that you were that loaded, I would ask you to marry me.
You asked. Turned you down, remember?
Was that you? Well, I guess then, I won't have no use for these little puppies, huh?
Ice diamonds.
This all comes to nothing, though, because, yeah, it turns out no lawyers want to represent a Graka or they'll lose their career. So, our main character and Doc end up being the lawyers.
I'm not qualified.
I'll help you.
Well, thanks, Doc. That'll be a big help. What do you know about law?
I was in a few courtrooms during my wayward youth. Besides, if we don't do it, who the hell else is gonna?
Objection. Mimmer didn't say that. He's putting words in his mouth, Colonel.
Do you mean that prosecution is leading the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean to say that the prosecution is leading the witness.
Sustained.
Thank you.
No further questions.
There's some twists and turns, but of course the good guys do win, and retain the supervillain dude to continue to be a bad guy for the rest of the show. Unfortunately, this is the last episode and we never see any of these characters again. Overall, I really liked this show. I'm probably going to go back and watch the first 4 episodes eventually. It has a really fun cast. Jeff Koch is Kaake? I don't know. Kaake. You figure out how to pronounce it and get back to me. He did tons of action shows and spy type stuff in the 90s. Marjorie Monaghan did tons of sci-fi cool stuff. Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa still does the voices for Shang Tsung in all the Mortal Kombat video games. Jack McGee was in tons of court stuff and cop shows. Clint Howard is Clint Howard. Linda Hunt is on CSI LA. Great cast, really fun show. A cool dynamic, little bit of levity in the show, cool sci-fi stuff. Follows all the normal tropes. It had the problem of being up against both Star Trek Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine were on at the time, so it was never going to succeed, but it was a really fun show anyways. If you like this show, it's available on YouTube. Some of the episodes are mislabeled, so look out for that. There's only 6 episodes though, so you can speed through it in a couple hours. Thank you for watching. If you liked this review or hated this review, leave down in the comments and tell me that I suck or request something for me to review. And as always, I shall try to do better next time.